Alright, continuing on, let's work on rotation, but with the caveat that we're not going to be using tracing paper. By the end of this video, you should understand how to carry out a rotation and how to properly describe one. So let's start easy. Rotate trapezium T 180 degrees about the origin and label this new trapezium A. All we're going to do, if it's a 180 degree turn, is let's go to the center of rotation, which is this case is the origin. And then let's label our points A, B, C, and D, right? Now let's look at them one at a time. So let's look at A. How many points does it take to go from A to origin? We need to go 1 up and 1, 2 across. Sure. So therefore, to find A prime, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go 1 up and we're going to go 2 across. A prime. The same thing works for B. We need to go 1 up and we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 across. So let's go 1 up again. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 across again. B prime. Okay? And likewise, let's go for C. So for C, we're going to need to go 1, 2. And then we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. So we need to do the same thing for C. We need to go 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we got C prime. And finally, we need to do the same for D. For D, we need to go 1, 2 up and 1, 2 across. So we need to go 1, 2 up and 1, 2 across to go for D. Let's draw our lines. And here is shape A. What about if it's 90 degrees? Right, now this gets a little bit tricky. The way we do it so that it's 90 degrees, well, first and foremost, we need to understand a few things. Number 1, it's a rotation. Number 2, it's 90 degrees. And number 3, it's an anti-clockwise rotation. So it's going that way. So what we need to do is we need to draw our lines. Well, we need to draw our points as lines connected to the center of rotation. I nearly said enlargement there. That's for the next video. And now we need to see, okay, this goes 3 across and 1 down. So therefore, we need to flip it. This needs to go 1 across and 3 down. So therefore, this is perpendicular. Okay? And because this is perpendicular and it's the same length, very important, it's the same length. We can call this, if this is W, we can call this one W prime. And now let's do the same for the rest of our points. At this point here, which I'll call X, we need to go 2 across and 2 down. Okay, so that's a 2 by 2. So here, it also needs to be a 2 by 2, but it also needs to be on the opposite direction so that it's perpendicular. Okay, so this is 2 and this is 2. And therefore, this is a right angle. So we can call this one X prime. The same thing works for this point Y. We need to draw a, 2 by 1, 2, 3. line here. Okay. And also, we need to draw a 3x2 line here. And so therefore this is y prime. And then for z we need to go 3 across and 4 down to draw that line there. And once again, we need to go then, if this is 3 across and 4 down, this needs to be 4 across and 3 down in order to get z prime. Let's connect the dots. And we'll label this one B. So how would we describe a transformation? Well, this is a bit tricky because we're not using a piece of tracing paper. But the general premise is the same. We need 3 things to describe. We need to state that it's a rotation. We need the direction. And we need the center of rotation. The way we work out the center of rotation is we need to think to ourselves, okay, what are 2 lines that will form a right angle which will get 2 points together? So let's start with these 2 points first. We can see that this point here, it can go like this, right? And this takes some trial and error. What is a point that can meet at a right angle to get to here? Well, it's obviously this line here, isn't it? And that's a right angle. Now, we can say that this is a center of rotation, but we need to check for other points because that might be a fluke. Let's try for this point. If we check this out, this is going to be a 2x2. And therefore here, it's also going to be a 2x2, but on the opposite direction. And because both of them are equal, we can safely say that it's a rotation. And the center of rotation is, what's this point? It's going to be 1, 1. Now, the last thing we need is the direction. We can see that it's going that way, which is clockwise. And so we need to say that as well. What about this example? So for this one, we're told, describe fully the single transformation that will map shape P into shape Q. So let's look at shape P. What direction does it move in order to look like shape Q? Well, it has to move in that direction so that it has that, you know, that spiky shape. Looks something like this. There we go. Otherwise, it would look like that, wouldn't it? So it's definitely going to go in the direction that I just drew. What direction is that? Exactly, it's clockwise. And it's 90 degrees. Now, what are we talking about though? Like, okay, it's clockwise 9 degrees, but what is it? It's a rotation. Make sure you state which transformation you're doing. Now, this is the tricky part, finding the center of rotation. But let's try our best. Let's look at 2 points. Let's look at this point here and this point here. What 2 lines can we draw to get a perpendicular line? Well, we can draw this here, for example. But then again, this will be a 1 by 2. So although it might seem like it's perpendicular, it's not. Like, that's clearly an obtuse angle. All right, no worries, no worries, no worries. Let's try here. Yeah, all right, let's try here. We're here. But as you can see, it's clearly unequal, and this is an acute angle. It's not going to be the center of rotation. So let's try somewhere else. Let's try here. If we drew a line here, we would have to draw one here. Okay, that's perpendicular, because look, this is a 3 by 1, and this is a 1 by 3. So, therefore, that is a perpendicular line, and it's equal. But we're not out of the woods yet. Let's take a look at another point. If we look here, we got another 1 by 3 line. And if we take a look at the opposite direction, this is a 1 by 3. So it definitely is perpendicular. Same thing with this point here. If we were to move it here, that's going to be a 4 by 1. And if you look here, it's a 1 by 4. Yeah, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 across and 1 down. And lastly, this tip of the iceberg here. We'll put that there. Oh, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A whopping 6 by 1. If we were to draw that, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 6 by 1. So that's also perpendicular. So we can safely say that the center of rotation is at -2, 3. Because that's where all the lines meet to be perpendicular, which is the point at which we are rotating. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video made sense. If you guys liked it, please consider subscribing. It helps out the channel a lot. If you guys need some questions or comments, ask me in the comments down below, or join my Discord server. It's a much easier way of getting a hold of me. If you guys want to get tutored, please drop me an email, as you guys will get a meeting and a quote. Keep on learning, as you have no idea what you're capable of doing.